Hey everyone, welcome to episode 6 of the Flower Farm podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to touch upon females in TCGs, how to improve, finding your own place in TCGs, because I understand it can definitely be very intimidating as a minority in this space. So I thought no better to bring Melissa on. So Melissa, would you like to introduce yourself really quickly?
Yes, hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Melissa. Sometimes go by TFM Melissa because I'm on the Forbidden Mountain. Been playing Lorcana since the first chapter, which feels like it was a very long time ago since we're now in set 11. John and I have been talking for probably 6 or 7 sets now, on and off, and it's a topic that's super close to my heart as somebody who joined as a casual player and has basically turned into a competitive player.
Right. Because I feel like a lot of people get into or got into Lorcana as like a casual player first, and then suddenly like the sparks kind of got ignited, that fire to be more competitive, right?
For sure. I mean, like, as you may know, I am basically just like a Disney adult at its finest. I'm like a Walt Disney World annual pass holder. I've been on Disney cruises. I go to basically as many parks as I can whenever I can. And so when a Disney card game came out, it was kind of just like a natural click of, oh, this might be something I'm interested in. And I thought about it more from the collector aspect of just these are princesses and adorable cats and dogs on cards, turning into a weekly locals hobby. And then, oh, wait, I can actually play this and have fun with it. So it definitely
Right.
escalated over
Like,
time.
how did you come to that realization though?
Um, I definitely started just kind of by going to locals. One of my locals in the beginning, basically the way that the league was set up was you would show up to the store, you had your casual weekly play. It wasn't paired as a tournament. It was kind of just free form, sit at a table and play against somebody. And quite frankly, my main motive for wanting to go to that particular locals was if you earned a certain amount of points over their season, you would get a set of pins.
Okay.
And as a Disney pin collector, I really wanted Lorcana pins. um, but as the game progressed, I started playing and actually kind of having fun with it more than just this is a themed Minnie Mouse deck or this is just like a 2 hour activity that I'm doing. And a different local of mine was running a chapter one win a trove tournament early in set one meta, and I kind of just went and played. I was playing an amethyst emeralds like aggro esque deck, so like I had the Pascals and the Maleficent ones and like the Ward Cusco, and I ended up losing in the finals, which due to tiebreakers made me get third,
Oh
not
no.
second, which as a new player I did not
Yeah.
understand at all. Um, but I realized that there was this whole different like element of a competitive scene, but the spark kind of kicked of like this is fun and this can be competitive and fun, and it was just something I kind of wanted to get into.
Maybe you're like, oh, I'm actually not bad at this.
Right, like I kind of know what I'm doing, and if I focus and like buckle down, I can probably figure out something that's more real.
Okay. So then if we fast forward a little bit now that you've been playing a bit more, um, talking about competitively, like how did you get better overall?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of key aspects to this. Very early on, I was playing a lot of online Pixelborn, as I know a lot of other people were. It was a I've always been a very visual learner, so I spent a lot of time like watching YouTube videos, watching other people play to understand kind of play patterns and behaviors. And then like after work and after the gym and just like when I had kind of free time, I would kind of just sit there while I was watching videos and poke it myself and try to figure out what are play lines, what can I be doing, in addition to going to locals. And what it really did was it kind of gave me an understanding of what to do. And obviously, fast forward, online simulations are not everything. I started playing in person. Eventually, I joined the Forbidden Mountain as a team, and I had my teammates to play webcam games with, to play in person games with, as well as Flower Farm, SLTC, and kind of other groups that I was a part of. And I think playing with other people, having conversations with like minded people, helped give me a better understanding of patterns I either should or shouldn't take so that I knew kind of the lines I wanted to
Right,
play.
right. I'm curious now, like How did you get on a team? Because I feel like a lot of people don't actually know how these things work.
Yeah, my story is a little bit interesting, to be completely honest. So early into like Lorcana, I was living up in Boston, and so I attended a couple of like local tournaments, and I had heard that Ravensburger was hosting their like kind of first official tournament at PAX Unplugged, which was taking place in Philly. So I just like me and a couple friends decided we're going down. We're if we can get a ticket to play in the tournament, we want to go because one, Lorcana is going like Ravensburger is going to be there, which means I can buy Lorcana product. And set one, set two beta, it was really hard to get product, especially at a fair cost. Um, and aside from that, like this is supposed to be a tournament, which means that the most competitive people in the area are likely going to be there playing. So even if I don't do well, it's a forum for me to be in a competitive environment. Because quite frankly, the biggest tournament I had played in was like a 40-person tournament, which is just obviously way different than
Oh
the
yeah,
scale
for
of
sure.
DLC, which we'll get to. Um, One thing leads to another. I end up pairing into TFM Dad in this tournament. I had no idea who he actually was, besides that, like, he was a person who did content at the time. And I'm like, oh, I'm playing against somebody who actually knows how to play
Yeah.
cards. We play a mirror match. It's best of one. So that was fun. And I lost. A few months later, I became friends with a couple other people, and essentially through networking and pairing into multiple Forbidden Mountain at the time teammates over and over again in tournaments, ended up being asked if I wanted to participate and join the
Nice.
team.
So you obviously, made a name for yourself. You're making some noise. You're beating some people, and people started to take notice. Yeah.
Trying. It's tricky out there because especially in some like the other events that I had gone to at the time, there was like the Star City Games circuit in the US. And like I'm pairing into people who are way known in other card games, and I have no idea who these people are. And like I didn't do my best in those tournaments, but like Rob Serpay was somebody who I ended up playing, and everybody was talking about how like Rob is one of the best. Like he had won the other Star City games and this and this and that and that. And you kind of when you get to play against people like that, there's really just a lot of learning moments, even if you don't win the set, that help you kind of like level up and understand, oh, this is what I might need to do better. And like Rob and I became friends after that, and we're just talking, and he goes, I see something that you're doing. He goes, I know you're newer, but you have the drive and you like you have the
Mm,
ambition, and like you're gonna learn. It's just gonna
yeah.
take time.
Okay.
So he's definitely also been a mentor over time.
Oh, that's really good. Uh, it's important, right? I think this is just in general, right? Like it's important if you want to improve and get better at something, like not just putting time in, but you also have to like actively, like purposefully put in time, put in reps, and actually think about like how you're going to improve and how you're doing it as opposed to just playing a lot, right? Because I know there's a lot of people who just like to play, and that's fine too, right? If you just like playing, but you know what I mean?
No, I completely agree. I think one of the biggest things is putting yourself out there, knowing that you might not be the best person in the room, and taking note of what you did or didn't do. Something like I've especially learned over time from everybody in this space is take 5 minutes after your game and just reflect. What did you ink that maybe impacted the game? What did you quest or not quest that could have changed the game if you won at 19 or won at 20 or lost at 19? And really use those moments to kind of reflect and just observe. People always joke that like when you play against Ed Chu, you'll see that his cards are always down and he's just staring at you. He's not literally staring at you, but he's paying attention to what you're doing and not focusing on
Yeah.
his hand is what I learned
Yeah.
over time. And it's little things like that if you're sitting at home playing like virtually or not in a tournament setting, it's harder to pick up on those things and learn them.
Okay. So, because a lot of people are also first time players, like, especially like when you pair into someone who's like more well known or like a bigger name, like when you're playing Rob and things like that, right? Isn't it intimidating to just go up and ask people like, what did I do wrong? How can I get better?
I think
Yeah.
yes. And obviously, if you don't know the person, you don't want to just say, hey, what could I have done differently? But I think one of the things that it definitely took me a few tournaments, including like DLC Atlanta, to learn is you have to remember that even if somebody is more quote unquote like famous or
Mm,
well known, they're still a human being and they're still a person. And you're also a person. So in a way, it's like you're sitting at the dining room table across from your partner who you're
mm,
practicing with or your friend who you're at
mm,
locals with. It is still just a game of Lorcana being
mm,
played. And you almost kind of have to like take a deep breath before you walk up to the table and remember that. Because, yes, if you're playing against somebody super well known, there's going to be a crowd behind you. I played in the Stockholm CCQ, and round two, I paired Zan. Like Zan and I had to go across the world to play each other. But we had a crowd behind us the whole time because it was Zan. And I had to remember, like, okay, well, Zan knows me. I know Zan. It's okay. Like, we're just playing cards, as an example. And so you kind of have to take the popular aspect out of it and just say, I'm playing cards. And it's tough. You don't want to go up to somebody and say, hey, you beat me, or I beat you. This is what you should do differently. But it's almost more of taking a note for yourself and going back to your Discord server who of your playtesting group and saying, hey, when I was playing this matchup, this is what the board state looked like. Like, this is what I did. What would you have done? um, and almost bring those conversations back to the people you trust rather than your opponent, because it allows you to have the discussion and critique each other in a forum that maybe you're a little more open or comfortable kind of being criticized
right,
in.
right, right. Okay. It sounds like a lot of where you leveled up as well was just being with other people, whether they're equally as strong as you, maybe better than you, especially at the start, they're all better than you kind of deal, right? And then it just seems like
For
it
sure.
just sounds like you're just kind of learning from them and trying to like pick their brain and really just like, deep diving and it seems like it was kind of goes along with what Aaron and Andy said last week too, right? Like just being in that
Yes.
environment where like everyone's trying to grow, everyone's trying to get better all the time. It seems like that has really helped as well.
It really has. Being able to have conversations with people who are interested in the same thing and whether like have similar goals to you really helps you kind of grow and foster, because we're all having the conversations. If we're all playing in DLC Ghent, then people all want to understand, hey, what are the meta decks right now? Or hey, how do I counter XYZ because it's performing well? And I think the biggest thing is one, surrounding yourself with those people, recognizing that yes, it's not always easy to find people that you're comfortable breaking out of your shell in. I mean, people might think that I'm like super outgoing, but I also get very intimidated when I don't know the people I'm talking to. So it's about like finding the comfort zone and the people who you're not afraid to ask the questions to. Another thing that I've definitely learned over time is you have to be willing to accept critique and criticism. And it's not because people are being rude. It's because people, like your friends, want to help you get better. And so you have to be willing to hear your own mistakes or the things you did wrong so that you don't make the same mistake again. And I think a lot of people in this space, male and female, get uncomfortable when they're told, no, like you did
Mm,
this wrong and this is what happened and this is what you should do
yeah,
differently.
I think we
So
all don't
that's
like
something
that.
I hope people take away from this.
Like in life in general, no one else likes to be told they're wrong. Yeah.
Exactly. And like you're wrong a lot in this game, especially when you start to get feature matches and everyone gets to watch you on the
Right, and they
stage.
start like nitpicking everything, right? What you can do wrong, especially
Oh
on
yeah.
stream.
I mean, I'm sure like that's what I was going to say. I'm sure like Flower Farm was probably watching me back at Southside when I was playing Amethyst Steel, saying like, "Oh, you." I remember people said you weren't aggressive enough. You weren't questing your brooms. You weren't doing this, and it was all out of love. But you have to be willing to take it so that you don't make the
Yeah,
same mistake.
because at the end of the day, everyone that's supporting you and saying those things just wants you to win.
Exactly. Like we all care for each other. If one person wins in a way, you
Yeah,
all win.
exactly. Okay. So on that topic, right, on that same note, because you mentioned Ghent, right, and a lot it's coming up. I believe you're going to, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I
How do
am playing
you
against, yes.
prepare for it? If you do anything, yeah. If you do any, well, apart from what you kind of already talked about earlier.
Yeah, so it's really interesting right now, I think, too, because we haven't, it's a new meta in a way, so a lot of things are changing. But for me, I think going into any big tournament, there's a couple things to look at. One is what has performed well
Hmm.
previously in this format. So, as an example, we just saw, I believe, Miss Lorcana, I think Fia is her name, um, just won the CCQ with Amethyst Steel. We just saw in that same weekend we had DLC Melbourne where like Molstar took it with dogs. So naturally, I would expect this weekend when I'm playing in the inking CCQ as preparation for Ghent. Okay, well, people just saw Amethyst Steel do well and dogs do well. Does that mean those decks kind of rise in meta representation or kind of deck representation? And understanding what do I expect to kind of be there, and then from that, what does that mean I want to play? Do I want to play that same deck because maybe I have familiarity with it and I'm comfortable in kind of a mirror match? Or do I have a different deck that I feel can counter those decks well that I want to take? So that's kind of, I think, one piece that's really important. And then the other thing is understanding like how do I play those games? So like I'm right now playing in three different kind of online tournaments with webcam games as preparation and kind of just like early meta to say, hey, I took this deck, I played it into a random field, I got to play 6 rounds, and this is how that deck performed, which helps give me an understanding one, how to play any given deck, and two, kind of how to play against those decks. So, like in my case, for example, in the three tournaments I was playing in, and again, not prize tournaments, really just learning. Um, I played one as Amethyst Steel, one as Amber Amethyst, and one as Sapphire Amethyst. With the idea being like, I like purple cards, Amethyst is strong. Let me just get a feel on kind of all of these decks and what my opponents are playing. And so now I can understand one, do I like the play style of that deck? Two, how do I play it? And three, if I take a different deck, how can I beat that deck because I now know how to play it?
Except now you're also at a crossroads.
Oh, 100% at a crossroads of like, what do I actually want to play? Um, but the reason I bring it up is I was somebody who for a long time was not comfortable playing a lot of decks. Like sets 1 through 4, but really like three in the first
Yeah.
half of four. All I played was really Ruby Amethyst once I kind of learned meta, aside from that first tournament where I played my aggro deck. And so when Ruby Amethyst wasn't the best deck anymore, I struggled. I did not win an Ursula in like set 4 set champs. It was top 4, I would make top 8 or not make top cut, and I was losing, and it was frustrating. And so, like, as time has gone on, I knew that I kind of had to push myself and say, you can't just, like, if you want to succeed, you can't just specialize in one deck. You can be strong in one deck, and people might disagree with that, and everyone's obviously
Yeah.
entitled to their own opinion. But for me personally, it's really important that I understand how to play multiple decks because at a given time, if a deck isn't performing well, I don't want to be at a disadvantage and not be able to kind of take something else that I have the cards for to play in the
Right,
tournament.
right. So then how do you end up choosing a deck now? Because like you have so many options now as opposed to before, and I think a lot of people are kind of stuck in the same boat because they're like, yeah, I want to get better. They expand their horizon. They start playing more decks, and then now they're like, oh, I can play multiple. Like, how do I end up picking one?
Yeah, I think it's this like awkward level of what do you think is going to perform best into the field and what do you feel most confident on? And quite frankly, in the current meta, I would argue that there isn't necessarily like one best deck. There's probably a tier with a few best decks where we've had some metas before where it's just this one deck is the best. And the other thing is like you have to kind of accept the fact that sometimes it's not your day. Like I played in a set champs and I took dogs to that set champs and I played rounds 1 and 2, the only Ruby Amethyst players in the room. And that
Yeah.
sucked. I was 0-2
Yeah.
on the day. Like I played the rest of the tournament just for reps and for fun, but sometimes you take a deck and the deck is good and you see something that counters it and it's a bad feeling. It's a hard pill to swallow. People don't like to lose. People don't like to be wrong, but sometimes we are just wrong and sometimes it's just not our day.
How do you deal with that though? Because I feel like a lot of people put pressure on themselves. Like especially like you put in all this time and this effort to prepare and practice and train, and then like you don't get the result that you were hoping to get, right? And then that sucks. Like losing sucks.
Losing really does suck. And like, just like I'm sure a bunch of you, like I get really frustrated if I have a bad day or I don't do great. I think it's almost about like flipping the mentality and saying like every tournament is a new tournament. And I need to take what I learned from this to apply forward. So, for example, if I know that a given deck, like dogs, and this was last set, but if dogs I knew was good into 80% of decks and bad into 1 or 2 of the decks, I just have to accept that I might see that and it it could happen and kind of accept that. Or I could say to myself, hey, I love playing Amethyst Steel. It might not have a perfect matchup into everything, but we know it's the quote unquote fair deck. We know it has game into everything, and I'm going to take it and just kind of outplay my opponents. And there's almost this level of, do I want to take something that's like high rolly, or do I want to take something where you can leverage skill or kind of outplaying or rely on what you draw? And some people have preference to saying, well, I trust that I'm going to be able to play whatever the deck gives me versus like I want to play something high rolly or kind of fun. And so I think it's almost kind of accepting when you make your decision, knowing what could happen so that you're tampering
Right.
your
So
expectations.
basically, yeah,
Like I know if I take a high
yeah,
rolling deck, then I might
yeah.
low roll.
So you basically already accepted your fate before it even started. Like you're okay with the outcome,
Yes.
pretty much. Yeah.
And like you and I have talked
Mm,
about this before, and like Dave and I have talked about this
mm,
also. Like if I know I have a bad matchup, I might see that bad matchup and I might just
yeah.
accept that.
Yeah.
And
It
it
sucks.
sucks, but if you go in with that
Yeah.
mentality, at least you kind of know
Yeah.
accordingly, I
Yeah.
guess.
Seems like you're telling the people that they just need to accept that you're gonna lose sometimes. Which is,
Yeah, like we all want to be on top all of
yeah.
the time. Our goals are to top tournaments. Our goals are to learn, and sometimes you're going to an event with the intention to learn something new, and sometimes you're going with the intention to win, and sometimes it's a combination of both. So it's almost like don't set yourself too high because you're going to set yourself up for failure.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay. So then moving on then. So while you're at, this is how you prepare for the DLCs now, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And so how do you handle the pressure now? Because like this is your first TCG, right? You've been to more events now, obviously, as time went on. But yeah, how do you handle the pressure of it? And then like potential. This is a question from some one of the girls that wanted to know as well. Like, is there something that
Yeah.
they should be looking for during rounds, like potential cheating or people taking advantage of you, not just because of your gender, but also like you being new?
So I think there's a couple of aspects to this, and I want to make sure we kind of can touch on all of them. The first is when you're at an event, like to the best of your ability, be cognizant of your opponents. There's times I've been in rooms or like rounds of a tournament, And I sit down and like most of you know, when I sit down, I play with my Disney
Yeah.
gears and I have my Loungefly backpack and like I look just like a random
Yeah.
person.
No, it's just like a
Um,
Disney loving girl.
but
Right.
yeah, like, oh, you're a Disney person. Like you can't possibly be good at this
Right.
game.
Right.
um, and if your opponents are like acting suspicious, like don't be afraid to call a judge. I am the first one to say I was afraid to call judges. Like countless times I should have called judges and I haven't. I've learned my lesson. Um, but if somebody is not treating you fairly or is slow playing or is acting and making you uncomfortable, like the lore guides and judges are there for that reason. Like you you have to get over that fear of I don't want to ask for help and ask for their help because that is their role and that is their goal. Um, I've also had countless times where I either won or lost, and my opponent was like a very sore loser. Oh, I can't believe I just played against a female and they beat me, and like they storm
Yeah.
off and don't engage. Just let them storm off. Let them be salty. If they want to blame it on something, like that's their own way to cope, and let them be rude and disrespect. Like I'm not saying they should be rude and
Right.
disrespectful, but people do just behave that way because they don't know how to react, and you can't let it impact you. um, Something like I've also learned over time is like between rounds, if you need time to just like decompress, whether it's to think about what you did right or
Mm.
wrong, or just, hey, I'm going into a win and in round and like I don't want people to bother me, like bring your headphones, listen to music, walk outside, just tell people you'll be
Mm.
back. Like ignore all your
Yeah.
friends, ignore your team, ignore your locals, just say I need me time and just like put your headphones in and walk away. Listening to music can do wonders.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So you mentioned that like people get upset because they lost to a girl, which like obviously like you
Yes.
you should. I mean, you should be upset whether regardless of gender you lost, right? Like if you're trying to be competitive, I get it. But like,
Right.
do you feel like you've experienced more of that compared to like someone on your team, maybe?
I would say yes, but personally over time I think it's gotten better. And what I mean by that is like one of the first tournaments that like I say is like when I started like actually getting good at the game was when I won an enchanted Elsa locally. I played in a tournament. I was like lower on the bracket. I was on the draw. I ended up winning the whole thing. A few weeks later, another tournament came up, which was right before like the Stitch set champs. Happened to be for another enchanted Elsa. I walk into the tournament and like instantly people are like, "Oh, she's back." And like I just get all of these like people are just looking at me like, "Why are you here?" And it's like, "I'm here for the same reason you are. I want to play cards." Um and yes, some of those people were frustrated because I had previously performed well, and it's almost this weird like, "Oh, I see you as a threat, but you shouldn't be a threat and I don't know how to react." Is kind of like what it felt like in the moment. But what it really comes down to is that people forget that this is a space for like males, females, people of all gender, and we're all kind of equal at the end of the day. And like some people don't want to accept that. And unfortunately, and it's hard to do, like we can't let that impact our gameplay. So we like, control what you can control is something that a good friend of mine has been saying to me a lot recently. Um, and you know that you can sit down and play your deck of
Right.
cards. So that is what you're there to do, and like that's what you should focus on, not the rest of
Right.
it.
Right. Would you say like that's like how you would suggest other people to handle it? Like at the end of the day, like you can only control what you can control, and like you can't control how people are gonna react to you. But I get it. Like if someone like
Right.
says
I
that or
think
lashes out to you, like it feels bad, right? And it feels like I don't know. I
it
can't
yes.
I can't exactly put myself in your shoes, but if I tried to empathize, I'd probably feel like I don't belong if someone said that to me.
Right. It's like you get this feeling of people don't think you should be there. And granted, like I've been very lucky in that like I am on a team. I have made a lot of friends in this community and people have established like, okay, you know what you're doing. We're treating you as an equal. It shouldn't come down to that. You should be able to just sit down and be
Yeah,
treated the
exactly.
same.
100%.
But we live in a world where not everybody acts that
Yeah.
way. So like the best advice that I could give is just remember that like control yourself. Try and not let other people's thoughts distract you and just focus on I'm here to play a set like a best of 3. I know what my deck does and I'm going to do that regardless of the person on the other side of the
Right.
table.
Yeah, because like I've seen it, and like a lot of the girls in Flower Farm as well are just like, you beat some guy and they get extremely salty. It's like, oh, I can't believe I lost to so and so, or like, or like other people are just like, I can't believe you lost to her. Like those kind of comments are just like so unnecessary.
It's super unnecessary and super degrading. In I think it was Chicago, I had paired into Haymaker, like Matt from Canada. And I remember because he told me this when we became friends later on. He goes, when I got paired into you, somebody said, "Oh, she's a girl, but like you should be scared of her." Because they were trying to tell him like she actually knows what she's doing. She's not a random person. And like I'm not saying that to toot my own horn to do it, but somebody else was basically telling him like remember girls know how to play this game too and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And that's also to say he would never like knowing him as a person, he would never treat somebody
Yeah,
different like
exactly.
that. But other people saying it was kind of just a reassuring like not a minority factor, but just a hey, remember, everyone's a human, everyone knows how to play this game. Like, don't be deceived. People often just see female and say, oh, you're the plus one. Where in Lorcana, I think more than most other games, that's probably not the case.
So with that being said, like I think, or maybe I think that a lot of the males can be like the biggest allies as well for females in this space, especially like since it's so much more like male dominated in the TCG space. Like, how would you want or suggest, like, what would you say, like, how can like other people support, other females in their community as well?
I think one of the biggest things is like welcoming people into their kind of whether it be your testing circle, your locals league, whatever you want to call it. Like everyone has their routine and their ways that they're playing the game and not excluding somebody just because of who they are, I think can go a long
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
Like I know there's a lot of people who will go to locals and say, well, these people don't know me, so I can't play with them. If you see somebody who's consistently showing up, invite them to test with you. Invite them to go to whatever event after set champs, like dinner is
Right,
taking
right,
place or
right.
whatever the case may be. Um, Letting them just feel part of the group is just, I think, an easy way to kind of extend the like the branch and say, hey, you're one of us. Like, come
Right.
hang out.
Because like I think we would all, well, we all play this game, right? And I think we all obviously love the game, and we all want the game to continue growing, right? And like how
Right.
you treat people, especially locally, like that is going to talk about like, so that's going to like dictate like how, you know, inviting is like whether it's going to grow or not, right? To bring more people into the game.
Exactly. And we have to remember this isn't everybody's full time job. This isn't like there's a lot of people who are parents that play this game. There's a lot of people who are in college or like working people everyone's lives are different and everyone only has so much time a week that they can give to their hobby or to the game. And so finding your ways to quote unquote like maximize that time I think is important. I had a conversation with somebody who's in Flower Farm a few weeks ago and she was saying I really want to understand like how to better this matchup, but I don't have time every week to go play at locals because the way the locals is set up, it's really hard to get to and it just doesn't fit my schedule. And I said, another way that you could kind of counter that is take those 3 hours that you would spend commuting and being there and go watch content. And by go watch content, I mean go watch gameplay. Because you're asking about Amethyst Steel, which we've seen on stream a lot in the set 10 meta at the time. So I said, here's 6 videos where that's being played by whoever it was. Watch those videos. Pause if you have a question on like the play line that's being made and either ask me or post it somewhere and say, I don't understand what was happening, or I thought we should do ABC, but you did XYZ. Why did you do that? Because like arguably that's just as much, if not better, use of your time knowing your circumstances. And so it's like it's finding the way to maximize that effort you have, whether it's being welcomed in the actual locals or being part of the conversation or being able to play webcam games or whatever it may be.
Yeah, it sounds like 2 things there. It sounds like number one, definitely utilizing technology like online. There is a lot of content online. There's ways to play online. So like definitely use that to your advantage to, I guess, improve and help equalize the field, right? And then the second thing, it seems like you're saying how it's important to find an environment that you can play in where they're treating you as an equal. Because like growing up, playing in other TCGs, like I've seen other girls like come in to play, right? But then I've noticed that a lot of people just don't treat them as equal, or just like, oh, I'm just gonna go easy on you because you're a girl kind of thing, right?
Right. And I think people can have this effect with kids as well. So like I'm gonna make that comparison really quickly. Like I know there's a lot of people when you go to a championship who will say, oh, I paired into a kid who's playing aggro, so I'm not gonna play like my max Sisu control strategy. I'm gonna play a slower game.
Yeah.
The kids are there to learn because they want to play the game in the same way that like I am there or any of the other girls are there to play. And so if you go easy on us, we don't learn. We have to be on
It's also kind of
equal, if
disrespectful.
not like higher level.
Right?
Yeah, like I want to be treated equally. I don't need to be treated lesser.
Because you're not.
Right, but I want other people
Exactly.
to know that, because like the kid doesn't want to win his medal because somebody conceded to him. The kid wants to win his medal because he earned it. And by that same logic, that's just how the field ideally should be.
You just want to feel like you earned it. Right.
Exactly.
I think that just goes for everyone, right? Like everyone wants to feel like they earned their wins, not just given free wins, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So then let's just say if we can wave a magic wand and you can change one thing about TCGs, what would it be?
I would love to see more females willing to kind of like take that step and like not be intimidated. I am intimidated. I still am when I play, and I try not to show it. And like it's gotten easier for me over time, but if there's more people who are not afraid to kind of step out of their comfort zone, we start to kind of equal the field and feel accepted and make it the norm. And it's really the only way to kind of foster it.
But how would you suggest someone to like even take that first step, because it's so scary?
Yeah, I think finding the forum where you can feel comfortable and kind of like take the baby steps almost to get there. Like I didn't top DLC Bologna overnight. I had never topped in like a DLC. Well, I top 128'd, but that wasn't like a day 2 situation because season 1 and season 2 were different. But putting yourself out there, pushing yourself, and kind of not being afraid to take the risk, like it does eventually pay off. Some people learn things quicker than others. Sometimes it takes time. And I think not being dissuaded because you don't get the results early is really, really important. So I would encourage you to keep trying and kind of keep putting that effort in. And like, I'm willing to talk to people online. I'm willing to like come say hi to me if you see me at
Yeah.
a tournament. I want to talk. I want to share stories, like help people get better because it's how I also get
Right,
better.
right. Yeah, because it sounds like you said, you're still intimidated doing it, but you said it's gotten easier over time.
It has, like in season one, using the DLCs as an example, the first few DLCs I played in, I didn't earn a let it go. I got my like normal prizing and that was that. Eventually I was able to top 128 and get a let it go. The next season, like I go to a tournament and I hit that threshold of being able to play into day two, being and then like focusing on the wins. And every time we go to an event, it helps us get better and it helps us feel more comfortable. Every time you play at a store you don't play at, you learn how to play outside your comfort zone and kind of being able to, I think, just consistently putting in the efforts long term, they will pay off.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like it reminds me of something like my therapist tells me, and when it comes like this is like more like anxiety related, but it's like exposure therapy. Like the more you do something, right, that makes you anxious, over time it gets better because it's kind of like her analogy is like it's kind of like a scary movie. If the first time you watch it, you might be really scared. The next time you watch it, you get a little bit less scared, and as you just keep doing it every single day, it just gets less and less scary because now you just kind of made yourself. It becomes feels more normal now, and that's like then like
Exactly.
what you brought up kind of reminds me of that. It's just like um, stepping out of your comfort zone and doing it a little bit more often, so you are more okay with it. Like the anxiety and the fear is always going to be there, but um, the level of it is just isn't as high. Like it might start up here, but as you do it more often, it just comes down here, right?
Right. Like it becomes more comforting and more normal, and then it's a little bit less intimidating. Like the other thing is set a realistic goal for yourself. Like don't go into a tournament, every single tournament, and say you're going to
Right.
win. We all want to win. Of course we do. But if you say my goal is to hit top cut, you give yourself kind of that like short-term goal and long-term goal of okay, I hit top 8 and then I can win the tournament. And it helps like just like setting goals in your career or like your daily life. It gives you something to strive
Right.
towards. And then you can kind of set your own quote unquote training of what do I need to do to hit that goal.
So set realistic expectations and then start building up uh, from there, as opposed to setting it way too
Exactly.
high when you're not there, kind of
Yeah, like don't set
thing.
yourself up for
Yeah.
failure or else you're just going to
Yeah.
flop and be
Yeah.
upset.
That makes sense because like a lot of people set it too high, right? And then it's just like when you don't get there, it just feels really bad, right? Yeah.
Right. Like I had somebody who I did coaching with before the last group of set champs, and she said, my goal is to top and my goal is to win a mat. And she had a few chances, and she sends me a picture 3 weeks later, and she goes, I
Nice.
did it. She goes, but I had the things you were telling me like in my head while I was playing the game. She goes, you told me to make sure I altered XYZ and focus on one, two, three. She goes, but because you reminded me of those things, I had them and I remembered them and I was able to get there. I had somebody else we talked to who said, my goal is to attend and get a card because I've never gotten a card before. She didn't care about winning. She just wanted to say, I got
Yeah.
my card. She was able to get
Yeah.
her card.
It's all you, that's sometimes
So
all you want, right?
pamper your own
Yeah.
expectations and it can go a
Yeah.
long way.
Everyone's goal is different too, right? Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Some people want to play in worlds, some people just want to be there and socialize. Like I talked to a girl who's in EU, and when she goes to DLCs, she doesn't play. She goes, she's not a competitive person, but she wants to be part of the community and she wants to be there. So she does side events, she takes pictures, she does artist
Nice.
signings. Like her goal is to socialize and meet XYZ. And when I was in Bologna, she's like, I want to meet all of these people from America who are flying to my side of the world. And so that's what she spent her tournament on. And like, that's totally fine. She had a great time.
As long as that's as long as that's what you like.
It's what
That's
you
what you
wanted,
want,
and
right? Yeah. And I
exactly.
think that also just ties back to like when you're picking a deck and at the end of the day, like you I think I've told you this before too, like you just pick the deck that you like and you got at the end of the day you got to do what you like because it is still a hobby at the end of the day, right? And if you're not liking it, that's how you start resenting it or even like burning out and start hating the game because you're not having fun anymore.
You still have to have
Yeah.
fun while you're playing it. Like, I still want to play Olaf and just say, it's Olaf and I love Olaf.
Yeah.
Something about that just can put a smile on
Yeah.
someone's face. And you have to kind of remember, go back to your roots in a way while you're being
Yeah,
competitive.
exactly. Okay. Do you have like any last words of wisdom or advice before we hop off here?
I think, I mean, I'm sure I've said it already, but like, try and tamper your expectations. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and kind of just, in a way, put yourself out there, in the spaces that you have. And like, if you're trying to figure out what is that space I can get into, like, don't be afraid to ask me or ask someone at your local scene or ask John or whoever you feel comfortable talking to and saying, I don't think that I'm getting what I need to succeed. Like, how can I find that? Because as much as this is our hobby and this is a fun thing to do, networking also in a way is kind of like a key to, like, I come from a business background. Networking is kind of everything in a way, and we might know somebody who can help you because of what you're looking for, or you might say, I'm local to this area, can you connect me with somebody? And like, we might know somebody in that area. So kind of just ask the questions, have the conversations, because that's another way to kind of keep growing.
So be fearless. Be
Always.
fearless. Cool. So before we wrap it up, Melissa, do you have any shout outs you like to make?
Shout out to Forbidden Mountain. Shout out to